Hello, everyone. I'm Smita Dharmora, and as he said, I'm transitioning from as a user to a facilitator. So I'm giving my insight from a HPC user, what HPC user really needs. It's like my insight from transitioning from user to an HPC facilitator. So it's based on my experience. So currently I'm a student, but I joined Advanced Cyber Infrastructure for Education and Research, ACER UIC, as a computational scientist, where I support university researcher for their HPC flow and all that stuff. So just want to show my journey. So I have PhD in experimental high energy physics, and then I did my postdoc at UT Arlington, then at Argonne National Lab. Briefly, I was at Fermilab as a computing specialist. Then I joined UIC as a computing specialist, but during that time, I also did parallel. I'm doing a master's in computer science and doing mostly the HPC stuff, doing some work with the Argonne National Lab. And that's just my journey. So that's why I'm moving from user to facilitator. So just want to give the idea, when I started my PhD, I was with the Atlas experiment at the CERN. That was the first time I was introduced to the job scheduling, but it was not the HPC because high energy physics is mostly HTC. So, but that was my first learning how the large distributed computing. Then when I was the postdoc with my advisor, I was actually associated with the Atlas distributed computing operation. So that was the first time I was, my first exposure to the distributing computing operation as the other side, but again, not as an HPC. When I was at Argonne, I was doing mainly physics analysis, but then I was introduced mainly to the HPC workflow as a user and doing a lot of stuff with the ALCF supercomputer. Then I was moved to the Fermilab briefly as a support for the scientific computing, where the SLUM and all those, high energy physics, but they were doing HTC as well as HPC, so I was in the both. And then I realized I need some more proper, because I'm doing computing, but I was not sure what's happening, underneath, so I thought, why not to take a proper route? So I'm doing master's, but then I'm almost done with my master's, and now I'm a computing at UIC, but still working on my master's. So, just want to, when I was in the first year at the CERN with the Atlas experiment, so I was thinking, okay, I am here for my physics. I want to do some research, like analysis, looking for a new particle, looking for, some new physics, but then I realized, no, there is something else other than physics. So it was, the job scheduling, batch scheduler, which I did not understand initially at all. So that was my first experience for the distributed computing or that kind of a big infrastructure. And that is not a unique condition, right? This I call as a HPC user paradox or this kind of a thing. So we know where we have like a highly skilled researcher, they are often diverted from their core mission, like scientific computing, sometimes just because of too much complexity of this high performance computing or the infrastructure, right? So why I know this? Because I was that user once. So what I can show you that what the ticket says and what the user actually means, because I am the user and what I was trying to say, but in ticket my job is keep failing. What I mean is no idea where to start debugging. I need more memory, but I don't know. Someone told me ask for more memory, but I don't know what does it mean. Queue is too slow. It means deadline is coming, my thesis, my advisor or something, or I'm panicking. Documentation is confusing. Can someone check my script? Maybe I'm just looking at my script and I need more pair eyes. So this is actually me as a user, my ticket, but actually what's happening within me as a user. So I called as an onboarding Cliffy. This is just one, my example as a physicist, or it could be any research. I'm analyzing my code, I'm submitting my job, but then there is a lot of other stuff, right? Workload manager. I'm just giving the example of WLCG, which is a worldwide LHC computing grid, particular example for Atlas. Then the jobs are running on the different grid, then you get the output. Everything is okay because system decide where the job runs. Everything is okay, but the problem happens when something fails, right? Where did my job run? What grid what side the job was submitted? Why the waiting is queue? If something failed, it was my problem or it was site's problem. I did something or something else. So what I realized is infrastructure was invisible until it broke. When it broke, then it's very confusing. Otherwise, we don't see the infrastructure, we just see the job. Our analysis, if it works, it's good, but then it's confusing later. So what I realized is the communication gap, right? User describe the symptoms and the support answer the technical question, like my job's stuck in the queue, and then we get the answer, check this documentation or try this command. So what we usually need is short explanation, how scheduling works, how the priority works, so that we understand as a user, not only the command, but also as a system. So both sides are technically correct, but the thing is that communication gap between the user and the facilitator. Right? So, and also I realize sometimes documentation is also written for the wrong audience. Wrong audience means too much technical, and not all the researchers are equipped with all the technical stuff, right? Our document shows the S-batch, node equals to 4, and all other stuff. And as a user, I'm thinking, why 4 nodes? What is node? What is core? What if I use more than 4 nodes? It is a recommendation or it is a hard line? What is this? And how do I know if my job worked correctly? These kind of a question, right? So I think another issue is the documentation issue, right? So the moment it flipped for me is during one of the second week of my support ticket at Fermilab, a researcher's job had been failing, so then there was a ticket, and job was just an environmental issue. So I almost was about to reply, okay, this is the issue, but then I realized that the user was me like a few years ago asking a question and asking for a fix, a quick fix. But then I realized maybe it's not a good idea. Then I asked, can I walk through how I diagnose this? So then it went really well, right? The user was happy with the answer, understand the concept and everything. Later in the group, they were able to solve other problems. So I think the difference between fixing a problem and the building capacity. We don't want to fix the problem. We want to build the capacity so that they can fix later. So that's the moment I realized like what we need to do, because I know as a user what was the problem. So what changed when I crossed over? So as a user, I thought support is slow because they don't care. The documentation it's bad on purpose. I used to think, why? It's short, too much technical. The system is designed so confusing, nobody will help if I ask very dumb questions, silly question, or and I'm the only person who is struggling. But now in the other side, support is slow because sometimes we have so many tickets, right? Documentation often assume that there are some prior knowledge with the user. So they start with some kind of a baseline. And many HPC systems are originally designed with some operational need in mind, not for the basic researches. And it can be difficult to help for when users unsure what information. So we don't know sometimes what exactly they need, because sometimes they don't know what to ask. So as a user, what I used to think, and now as a facilitator, what I understand. So what I think, what HPC user actually need, some of these points. So clarity, context, confidence, community, and the continuity. So in the clarity, I think the why, not just the how, right? So just, for example, version A for your documentation, right? Docs say request 4 GB RAM per CPU core, right? Technically correct, but for a new user, it can be so many questions. Why 4 GB? if I do more, what will happen? If I need exactly 4, it's a recommendation, hard limit, or what, right? Maybe what we can do is version B. How, why, and what if, right? Why if you use more memory, like what if you uses more memory than requested, schedule will terminate, all these kind of questions. What if to check how much memory your job actually needs, so all these kind of questions. So if unsure, start with 4G and then adjust based on actual usage for optional scheduling. So what I think, if we change from how to why, it could be, so users stop guessing none and they start thinking like a scheduler. So it's not a quick fix. You are building something. You are building then onboarding that builds the confidence, not the confusion, right? So whenever we have the onboarding, we open a new account, there is an automatic email from the HPC facilities, or like from our team or from the center, that your account is active, this is your cluster, this is the documentation, allocation, everything. So I'm just thinking like the supportive onboarding could be like log in and run this test job, your allocation is this, if job fails, this could be your diagnostic guide. Maybe some office hours, right? So you will not break anything. Ask early, ask often, right? And when you say the common onboarding, like this is documentation, allocation, user feels like, okay, figure it out. This is your account, now it's your job. But in the supporting onboarding, we are saying that we expect you are here, we want you to succeed. So this could be the next step, right? And third, documentation. So I already mentioned about that documentation, so I will not go through in very much detail, but yeah, it's not only like explain how to run the commands, why, what if, all other details, not only the technical step, maybe some example, workflow, all those kind of stuff, right? And another could be the support that builds confidence, not the dependency. Very important, right? For first example, if user has a problem, open a ticket, get answer, problem appears again, and then opens another ticket. And if you build the capacity, user has a problem, open a support ticket, gets the answer, not only answer, the explanation. Now the user learns how to diagnose next time and solve the problem independently, or maybe help a colleague. So good support doesn't just solve the problem, just fix the problem. It teaches user how to solve the next one, or maybe help the other. Another one, or maybe I can say in my list, the last one, permission to not know. Very important, right? One quite challenge in HPC support or any kind of support, the assumption that experienced user or user already know some basics, right? No one start out understanding how HPC or any system works. So when I first encountered with this batch scheduler, grid computing during my PhD, I remember feeling completely lost. As a physicist, no computing at all. So that feeling often comes from how the system are introduced to you, right? It's not that you are not capable or due to some lack of ability. So I think it's like how you introduce the system. So it's okay if you don't know anything. It's right. And some practices that made a difference for me as a user. For example, at a simple, when your job fails, troubleshooting guide, right? Short page, link directly from the scheduler documentation. Another important thing is whenever someone asks, avoid replies, see documentation. Link the exact section and explain why it works, why it applies, rather than, okay, this is the documentation, figure it out. Hold short drop in office hours, very important. At least for me as a user, it works for me like, yeah, as a PhD student, yes. Include workflow-oriented example in documentation, very important, another. And in onboarding, say explicitly, you won't break the system. Please ask question early and as many as time you can ask. Like, so these kind of a very small communication and these kind of a documentation practice can make HPC systems much easier for new users or researchers for any field, whether they are from the STEM background, sociology, or for any department. It will be easy for them to navigate. So now looking at the system behind the user. So what we often see, which is visible, what exactly is inside that, and then what we can do, right? What we see is just the symptom. User struggle to submit the job, repeated support tickets, long delays, right? And then maybe stopped using HPC, especially like from other department, not from the STEM. So what's happening inside is maybe the documentation is they are not connected to the documentation. Onboarding process was not good, unsure where to start. Support focuses on fixing, not the explaining, right? So then user is keep asking, and sometimes like, how many time I need to ask, how many time I need to submit the ticket. User hesitate to ask question then. So then effective teams, they can then treat user experience as an infrastructure. How we treat our infrastructure, treat our user as. Then review docs regularly like system component, right? Use ticket trend to identify missing items. We can see with the ticket, like how often these problems are coming, we can always change. And ask why mistakes are easy to make. Everything can be done based on our ticket. So what I carry from both sides as a user, I wasn't looking for hand-holding, but I was looking for the context, right? I want to understand the system I depend on. I wanted to know if it's okay not to know everything immediately. That was really important as a new user for me. And I want the documentation that helped to translate system concept into the real use, not only the command and everything. And as a facilitator, every ticket I receive, every researcher I work with, I see earlier version of myself again. And I'm just giving an answer, or I'm helping them to build the capacity so that they can fix the later. So my experience as a user still shape how I try to support others. So this is just, I just want to acknowledge my team at UIC. So this is our team of 17, 18 people. We are from different, some are from the physics, some is from the biomed and everything. So supporting the researchers requires both the infrastructure and the people, right? So we have from all background from the people. So I'm just skipping this. I asked actually my director what he thinks about the HPC user and this. So this is his ideas, like as a user and what happens when you are a user as a researcher. So one of his idea was that data management and security expectation are increasing for researchers. So sometimes they are very scared of using HPC. Lot of you know, there are a lot of security expectations. So he gave some of this his ideas, but yeah. One more job to submit. So final task before exiting this, my talk, if you have a phone, of course. So if you can scan this, just 90-second multiple choice question, and maybe 60 seconds. So it's a 60-second survey, no queue, no scheduler. So I request you if you can just scan this, and yeah, after 60 seconds, I'm done. So this is just.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We have a few minutes, time for a couple of questions. Okay, if nobody else starts, I start. Thank you so much for the talk. I thought that was really well presented, a problem. And I definitely think this goes well beyond just schedulers, right?
Yes.
I think the same principles.
Yes, everywhere, yeah.
One thing I recently started seeing when I started using AI tools like experimentally a bit, right? What I found is that they're really good at explaining in more verbose language, the thinking behind stuff, yeah? Like when I, for example, created a PR, some new code thing or whatnot, right? When I read through what it does, right, it tries to explain its steps and not just give a solution. Have you experimented with that? might help like close the communication gap?
So you mean not to explain only, yeah.
So as an expert, I ask the AI to explain this thing, right? I
Yeah.
can judge whether it's actually correct and going in the right direction.
Yeah.
But it tends to explain it in a way which doesn't necessarily have all the implicit assumptions I have, right, about knowledge.
I haven't experienced this kind of, no, like,
Okay.
yeah.
Just wondering if
Yeah.
you have any experience.
No, not this, but I have like a different kind of experience. Like, for example, next week I have, a talk at sociology department to explain the HPC for 1 hour. So I'm changing all my talks, everything with a different explanation, rather than I'm going into the physics department to explain our system and everything. So in sociology, I'm explaining the HPC like a building, right? When you enter, receptionist is like a scheduler. The login node, when there is a room, which is your compute node, those kind of things. So I explain in according to my audience. So that's my way to, to explain anything, not only the HPC, but if I want to, yeah. So that's the,
Yeah, thank you so much.
yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
Thank you. So I really liked what you said about like explaining how to solve a problem instead of solving it. Like that's exactly what I would like my HPC support to do every time. But I feel like this is too much work on them to do for every user. I worry that is too much work for them to do. What do you think?
No, I don't. It looks like it's too much work, but then if you ask and if we explain properly and if we fix the problem, we will not come next time with different kind of problem, right? Then you know your system, maybe then you will come with the problem and you can specifically say, this is my problem. And right now, sometimes I remember at Fermilab, there was a researcher and the question was, my code, I want to use the GPU. The question was very vague. So then I was not sure what to answer. GPU for what? Like the code, you want to change the code for the GPU, or you have any machine learning, that kind of a thing. So sometimes so I think if you are not focusing on fix the problem, but then more we can explain, and then it will be easy for me. Initially, maybe it will take time, because then we need to give some more time, but then I think for longer term, I think it's always, I like if someone is asking me the question and I want to answer in really, really detail. Yeah, so if you have any question, I think you should ask. They will be really happy, because then you will be there only one time or two times, not like multiple times. So that would be, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much
Yeah.
again. Okay, last question, when we'll post the session is going to start.
So as a really quick question, I really like the talk, and I really like, just like the last question, the explaining why the problem is and how to fix it, not just the fix. I have found in my own experience that sometimes a user just wants the answer. They don't want the whole explanation, and they can get frustrated when you kind of dance around the answer, trying to help them understand rather than just fix their immediate problem. How do you deal with that tension?
It's a good question. I never had that kind of an issue actually, but it's possible, because sometimes user, if you have a deadline and they are almost at they want the fix the problem. Yeah. I don't have the answer because never had this, but yeah, it's a good even question for me, and I need to think how to tackle these kind of a problem here. Maybe I can fix the problem that time, but I would suggest that user, whenever they have time, just try to understand the issue or the system only for the fix. But I would really suggest them to understand for the longer term. But that's a really, really good suggestion and experience for me as a facilitator as well. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.